Welcome back to the Daily Drum on WHUR and Sirius XM Channel 141. This is the Insight segment. I'm Harold Fisher. It is February 14th, Valentine's Day. And when it comes to this day of love and romance, most of the people who are expressing their thoughts about it are women. A lot of the marketing of Valentine's Day is directed at women. But tonight, we are talking to men about it at the Men's Roundtable. And not just about Valentine's Day, but also about romance, love, and what part it plays in their lives. My guests are S. James Guittard, author of the book Chocolate Thoughts, Short Stories, Essays, and Poetry from the Hearts and Minds of Real Black Men. He's single, but he's in a relationship. Michael Johnson, custom tailor and a member of the Silver Fox Squad. If you don't know about it, look it up. Trust me, you'll thank me later. He's been married for 29 years, and Cootie Mac, health and fitness advocate. He is divorced. Guys, thank you all so much for joining this really important conversation. Hopefully, this is going to be a really, really good one. Let me first ask you, just by a show of hands, who is a fan of Valentine's Day?
When you describe a fan, what a fan
is
terminology.
Okay, there we go. Everybody's hand went up, but James's hand went up very, very slowly. Okay, and see that's why I
guess it depends on how am I a fan of the conspicuous consumption that occurs during Valentine's Day? No. Right.
Okay.
Am I a fan of some of the reckless, wise financial decisions that perhaps are made? No.
Mm-hmm.
But do I celebrate love, especially Black love and intimacy and connection? Yes. So it becomes, what are you, if you want to say, quote unquote, a fan of? I'm a fan of the things that are deep, but I'm not a fan of the things that are superficial that are often marketed across the board. That's what.
Have you always been like that, a fan of the things that are deep, the expressions of love and intimacy that are usually associated with Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I think I've always had an understanding of it. I think we all are impacted by world society and the things that are placed in front of us as far as the things that we should do or how we should look at a particular situation or holiday, whether it be Valentine's Day or even Christmas, right? We lose the meaning of the season and it becomes another level of just a marketing tool for in a capitalist society. But over time frame, which you grow with greater levels of wisdom, and you come to understand and be able to differentiate the things that matter and the things that don't matter. And so in this regard, I've grown as you've grown in the different type of relationships that you've been in, what things matter and what things don't matter. And I think brothers such as Brother Michael, who's been married for, a while, would also be able to really hit on that, like the growth pattern as it relates towards how you look at holidays, particularly when you're in a marriage versus someone who is, single and dating, right? There's a different way, I'm assuming, even Brother Michael looks at it.
Well,
I would.
Let me ask Michael. Yep. Michael, let me ask you.
James is absolutely correct. I mean, I look at Valentine's Day, Christmas, and most holidays differently than probably most of you guys do. I've been married for 29 years now, and my wife and I'm just going to be completely honest. We don't exchange cards anymore. We don't buy expensive gifts on that particular day anymore. We don't do it. Like James said, it's a pretty commercialized day, all of these things. But what we do is this. If I know my wife wants something, I get it for her. We celebrate Valentine's Day every day. I celebrate her birthday every day. I celebrate her every day. She celebrates me every day. It's not because it's this day, let's go do this. In fact, for us today, I'm going to be honest with you guys. What we're going to do, we're going to probably watch Netflix and chill. We're not going to a restaurant. We're not doing any of that stuff. My wife is a great cook. So if she asked me what I wanted for dinner, she's going to cook dinner for me. We're going to have dinner and dessert, of course. And that's going to be the end of it. You know, that's pretty much it. When you get to a certain stage in life, James, as you said, and when you get to a certain maturity level in your marriage or in a relationship, you understand, listen, because you didn't get me a card this year or you didn't get me a gift, none of that stuff really matters. At my age of 55, and I'm assuming all of us are somewhere around that age, man, I'm happy that my wife is in good health. I'm in good health. She's here with me. I love her very much. I want her here with me as much as I possibly can. And so to, you know, just be running out buying gifts and all that, you know, she doesn't even really care about that anymore, guys. She's like, listen, that's not who I am. That's not who I've ever been. I love the fact when you do give me gifts, she's grateful. She's happy for them. But she realizes, man, Thanksgiving, holidays, you know, Valentine's Day, we're not going broke today. That's just not going to happen.
Tell her to save me a plate.
Curry chicken, by the way. Curry chicken.
What are your thoughts about Valentine's Day, Cootie?
So I maybe because you know me, I was born abroad, raised in the States, so I lost my accent when I was young. And I'm a citizen, but
okay, that's part. That's another
point out right now.
You know,
that's definitely a good point to point out, dude.
Yeah,
don't get snaps.
Cootie just said the conversation totally left.
I'm a dual citizen actually. So and then my parents are from a different nation. So I'm a citizen of the UK, United States. Parents are Nigerian and American. So man, if any of y'all know any Nigerians, man, we celebrate. We celebrate. So if there's any excuse to celebrate, I've been raised to do so. And while James and Mike have made amazing points that I absolutely agree with, the essence of how you celebrate or why you celebrate is the main thing. So for me in general, as a romantic partner, I'm always, or even as a friend, I'm always somebody who will just, and you know this, Harold, like, I'll just check in, see how you're doing. I just do that on the strength. And then, but I'm not going to let your birthday pass without me reaching out to you. I'm not going to let I'm not going to let you be the only person. Like my daughter, for instance, she left her instrument, here, and when she has orchestra today. And she was kind of disappointed she left it, and she knew that I was going to lay into her about responsibility, right? So she said she left that, so I'm not turning around to go get it. So just dropped her off. But then I had a break. I looked. A client canceled. I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I ran to the store, grabbed some flowers and her instrument and dropped it off. So when she gets it, she's not. So I never lose the opportunity to create a moment. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be thoughtful. So I get it. I don't like to spend a penny more than I'm supposed to. I get it, brother. But at the same time, it's like if $3 spent the right way, if a little Amazon joint, spent the right way, will have the person realize like, wow, Cootie actually thought about me today. And, I don't ever want whoever I'm attached to be the only one, be the one sitting there like, man, because there is a little bit of comparison politics. And I'm not saying what other people think matters, but at the same time, I do want gestures that actually say, hey, somebody out there is thinking of you. And not only do you see it, but people else, but in a way that people will notice it. So it could be something as simple as, buying them a day off. It can be something as simple as cooking a meal, like Mike said about his wife. Whatever it is, your partner, or it's your job to know your partner well enough so that whatever it is you do, it could just be like, I don't want to do anything but sit in silence and listen to some old records. But if you know that's what's going to move your partner, then do it. And I take every opportunity. All these holidays, even Christmas, are pagan and contrived. So you can find fault with all of them. But hey, if they're here, hey, let's make the most of it.
So let me share this with you guys. There's an article in the Washington Post from yesterday that says men are more romantic than women. And quoting from the article, it says other research suggests that men have a tendency to strive harder to establish romantic relationships and benefit more from them, to be the first to say I love you, and to suffer more from love lost. As I said in the beginning, James, the marketing for Valentine's Day, flowers, candy, balloons, etc., seems to be for women. But according to this article and several others that I've seen in researching for this conversation, that it appears that surveys and researchers say that men are more romantic. How do you feel about romance. And to that point, because a lot of times when you talk to some brothers, they may say, "Oh, that's just stuff for simps." Simps, I guess that's
Simps.
I've never liked that term, but anyway.
Yeah.
But what are your feelings about romance?
I think that taking special time out for your significant other is important. I think what Valentine's Day does do is that it serves as a reminder on the calendar in our extremely hectic schedules that we maintain and the numerous things that are always keeping us occupied and on the move, that this is the time frame to kind of like recenter back in. And so let's say this is, matter of fact, let me share something to some of the brothers who haven't made a decision today on what to do for Valentine's Day. Right. I think that one of the important things to do is think about something that your significant other likes a lot to do, but for either economic reasons, time wise, or pragmatic ability to be able to do, accessibility, they aren't able to actually to be able to do. And see whether or not that might be something that you might be able to provide them the opportunity to be able to share in. Or based upon all the different forms of communication that hopefully you're having, because communication is so important, think of something that your significant other is shared that is something that they have never done, but they've always had an interest in doing that's on their bucket list. And see whether or not you can be able to provide that experience jointly together as something that you can share. That way you can create memories together. And what that does is that creates the thing that many people want to have, is the ability to have something that is personally connected, that's past just the roses and the candy that everyone else is getting, but shows a certain level of thoughtfulness and creativity. And that's where the romance to me really gets in underneath it.
You know what I'm hearing from that, Mike, is that brothers need to pay attention. I mean, they really,
Absolutely.
I think they really, really do. And I think that, I know in speaking to some sister friends, over the years, sometimes they say they're not paying attention. And but to your point, Netflix and chill notwithstanding, with your wife, and we've been friends for a while. I already know the answer about how you feel about romance, but you share with us your feelings about the importance of it in the relationship.
Absolutely. Romance should be like at the top of the list. I think, Brother Cootie, you put this really well, understanding your partner's love languages, right? When you understand what their love languages, whether they're very intimate, they love touch, they love affirmations, they love gifts, or whatever the case is, you tend to use that as part of the romance or the romantic part of the relationship. So, for example, for my wife, as you said, for us, I understand that my wife loves quality time with me, right? So there's no gift I could give her more than my time and myself. And to your point, Harold, my attention. Most women, that's really what they want from us, right? And what we tend to do as men, we tend to buy gifts to replace attention or being intentional about them. And so because I've been with my wife so long, I know that the best gift I can give her, because I paid attention over the years, trial and error is something. You've given gifts here, you give a car here, you give candy here, you give flowers here. And the most, important thing to them is time. My wife just literally said, I've bought my wife cars, I've bought her a house or houses, I've bought her fur coats, jewelry, all the stuff that most men buy their significant others, right? We were talking about this last night. She said,
hold on, Mike.
I don't know about everybody.
Hold on, James, hold on. I need to take a break, and I want Mike to be able to finish his point. So please stay with us, and don't forget, you can hear this and every edition of the Daily Drum Insight segment via podcast on WHUR.com. The Original Quiet Storm with Raheem Devon is next on WHUR-FM. I'm Harold Fisher. This conversation continues on Sirius XM channel 141 and 96.3 HD2 in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the Daily Drum on Sirius XM channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. Tonight we continue our men's roundtable conversation about romance, love, and of course, Valentine's Day. My guests are S. James Guittard, author of the book Chocolate Thoughts. He is single, but he's in a relationship. Michael Johnson, custom tailor and member of the Silver Fox Squad. He's been married for 29 years. And Cootie Mack, health and fitness advocate. He is divorced. Mike, you were making a point about the significance of romance in your marriage. Please finish your point.
Yeah, I was just explaining. I've given my wife some pretty expensive gifts, as some of us have done, right? But she's literally, we were talking yesterday, and she said, "Do you know what gift you given me? The gift that I love the most that you've ever given me?" And I was like, "What is it?" My wife loves to do hair. Like, she does her own hair. She's done other people's hair. I bought her this set that had all the curlers in it, and it had they call it a stove, the thing that you can heat the curlers up on, and then it has a holder that holds all of them. Now, that gift, I think I may have paid some years ago, maybe like $300 or $400 for. Now, in my mind, that's not a whole lot of money compared to what I've spent on other gifts, fur coats, house cars, whatever. And I said, "Why was that?" She said, "Because what it was is you were intentional about this gift. You paid attention to something, James. You said something I really, really, really wanted, and you got it for me. I didn't have to tell you I wanted it. I didn't have to point it out to you. You did all the research to make sure that's what it was." And can I just tell you guys, that's a gift that keeps on giving. Every single year, that's an experience that we created. We created a moment. Cootie, as you said, I celebrated her in that moment. And for her, every time she touches any part of that gift that I've given her, it reminds her of how much I love her, how much I care about her, because I paid attention to something she wanted. And in turn, what I had to tell my wife early on was, do that for me. Don't buy me a gift. And I suggest this either way. Don't buy me a gift you want me to have. Buy me a gift I want, or give me a gift I want. Don't think because you want it for me that I want it. Pay attention to me. Understand my needs. Understand my wants. Understand what I like, and then do something in that realm to help figure out what I want. And can I tell you, man, we've been doing this for probably, again, we've been married for almost 30 years, and we've been doing this gift giving thing like this for probably about 15 of them. Mm-hmm. And we really are intentional about it. One other thing, and I'm going to jump and let Cootie talk. One of the things I know my wife loves, because it's time spent together, we do spa days together. Yeah. So Cootie, I know you can appreciate this, man. It's one of the most relaxing things to do. We go and we might spend, I don't want to plug a particular Korean spa because I don't know if they're paying on here, but
no, they're not. But you don't have to. But make your point, though.
Right. So my point is, we go and we spend hours at the spa together. We walk and we talk, and just sometimes we lay there and look at each other and don't say anything. It's just time spent together. So for me, that's more romance than anything. Having to have to spend a whole lot of money or jump through these hoops or whatever the case is. Sometimes it's that, but a lot of times, for at least in my relationship, it's not that. It's quality time spent.
Cootie, let me ask you this. What is the most romantic gesture that you've ever made? No matter how much or how little.
Putting you on the spot now.
That I've ever made.
Yeah, the most romantic gesture that you've ever made. And let me add this comment. As a mature adult man, I mean, yeah, we could have written that letter at class. I like you. Do you like me? check a box.
All right. So it's gonna be tinged with a little bit of irony because, as you mentioned, I am divorced, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that going around. So.
Right. But that said. So at the time, what I did was I had met my ex-wife's parents before, and she had met mine, but they hadn't met each other. When I knew that things had gotten to a point where I was, ready to ask her to marry me, it was important to me, the way I was raised, culturally speaking, to make sure the families were in alignment, and just simply put, directly get her father's blessing. I'm gonna try to tell the story as quick as I can. So here's the deal. So basically what happens is I never lied to this woman ever, like just full stop. But it was the one time where I didn't tell the honest truth. And I told her that my aunt in Minnesota, she was from the Midwest. I told her my aunt in Minnesota wants me to go to this wedding. So I'm flying out there. I'm gonna do this thing. And to make the alibi certain, I flew my aunt from Minnesota to the area, to the city where her parents were. Uh-huh. I took my family. So my sister's out in LA, mom and dad in the DC area. And I flew us all to their spot. I had, at this point, I already had like a decent enough relationship with the parents to be able to just talk to them, on my own.
And don't forget Cliff Notes version, but go ahead.
So I say, look, don't tell her, but I need to set this meeting up, but you cannot tell her that I'm meeting with you. They said, okay, fine. So I flew my family out to their family. They met. I was like, I had the ring already. And the ring was phenomenal, custom design, whole nine. And I had it in my pocket. And I was like, okay, look, went to Pops, told him, went had a one-on-one with him downstairs, respectfully. Told him everything about me, stuff that some cats probably would never tell. Told him everything about me. Said, so I don't want you to have any questions. If you do have a question, ask me now while nobody's looking. And if you approve of me, I gave him the ring. Said, check out the ring. He held it. I said, you keep that. Said, if you approve of me, my intention is to ask your daughter to marry me. If you approve of me doing that, we'll go upstairs and announce it together, and I'll let you tell them. If you don't approve of me, hold on to that ring and you tell me when you're ready for me to do this. We had the conversation. We went upstairs. We got upstairs. So mind you, both families are together. My sister, mom, dad, everybody. And I took pictures of everybody. And then once I got the approval, it's like, all right, cool. Now, my ex and I were scheduled to go on a trip. So we traveled, we went abroad. And while we were out abroad on top of this small mountain that overlooked the city of Montreal, I handed my camera to these people. I said, look, just take pictures. Just whatever you see, just take pictures. Just don't stop. It's digital. Just do it. Total strangers. They could have ran off with the camera. She and I are talking, and as I start to talk, boom, boom, and at some point, I took this napkin that I'd stolen from this restaurant we ate at, and she was like, she couldn't believe. She's like, I can't believe you stole that. And I was just like, I didn't even listen to her. I folded it up, dropped it on the floor, dropped to my knees, boom, proposed to her. The whole thing is on the camera, right? So I proposed to her. She's totally stunned. She had no idea it was coming. She's totally flabbergasted. So she's going through. So these people were taking pictures of us the whole time. And so it was almost like a frame by frame. You see the whole thing unfold. Right. So we scrolling back in the pictures. Then when you get to like the pictures that were before that, the pictures immediately before that were from the weekend before, where I was with her parents, with my parents. Yeah. She knows that my parents and her parents had never met before. So the gesture of me just introducing the families, like introducing the families first as a protocol. Number two, talking to her father one-on-one, eyeball to eyeball, full disclosure, giving him he could have said, no, I'm not ready. Okay, cool. Keep the ring until you tell me I am. And then proposing abroad. And then she goes back, she sees pictures of our parents together, and she cannot understand what she's looking at. She's like, I see the house. I see your sister and my mom. Like, I know they never met. She could not figure it out for the life of her. And that was the way I proposed. That's probably the most elaborate romantic gesture, although I've got a bunch more.
Oh, yeah. And now that the credits are rolling for this movie.
I mean, it's a good story, right? And that speaks to what Michael was saying. Brother. And that speaks to what Michael was saying. And that's what I really want to get to, honestly, is I don't believe that poll was kind of weird to me in terms of like, I don't think that men are the first ones to be quick to say I love you. That's not been my experience with people around me. However, because of male ego, yeah, it hurts when things end. It hurts us way more, and we are way more destructive in the aftermath of a breakup, generally speaking, than I think women will be. Because socially it's almost sort of expected, and then we just do it, and it's kind of like laughed about. The body counts are laughed about, but when a woman goes on that tear, we get scared and we get nervous, and we kind of like put a scarlet letter on her. Now, the one thing that Michael talked about, though, creating moments. If there's one thing that guys or anybody, people take from this discussion, I would love it to be create moments. Always create moments. Don't rest on your laurels. Always create a new moment. So if it's just something as simple as scooting by work and just delivering lunch, just unannounced. If it's something as simple as a text that says good morning. If it's something as elaborate as a trip abroad with, people taking pictures and flying to families, whatever it is, always get in the habit of creating moments. And those are the things that will be the lifeblood of whatever relationship you're in.
Yeah,
Brother,
you know, James,
I was gonna say, like, I appreciate all the comments. I just wanted to suggest, like, we're talking about a certain particular type of woman, right? Because there's some who just want the bag, right? And
yeah,
like,
but let me stop you, because this conversation is not about women.
right?
This
No, I'm saying
conversation,
like
it's
that
about
we're expressing
men
that we're doing, or for a
and what
certain
their
type of quality
responsibility
woman
is.
who would respond to that, right? And who has a certain level of appreciation of the things that are being expressed, the level of thoughtfulness and creativity that went into the whole preparation for the wedding vows, right? And making the wedding, it was extraordinary. Like you said, the credits can go up, right, from the movie, because it's the type of things that we need to aspire, hopefully, to people to aspire to be able to obtain inside their own relationship, which is the level of thoughtfulness, the creativity, the level of, you know what I'm saying, effort, you know what I'm saying, that went into it, is a reflection of a person saying that I truly love you. And coming from a man, that's a very powerful, you know what I'm saying, thing to be able to say and to share. But not everyone's looking for that at the same time. That's all.
Right, but don't miss my point. And my
Okay.
point is, particularly in Cootie's example, and also what Michael was saying as well. If you are making a gesture as a man to your woman that she does not appreciate, but you believe that it is the best gesture, then one of two things are wrong. Either number one, you're not paying attention, or number two, you're not with the right person.
Exactly.
You know, there may be a compatibility thing, but the other thing, from your perspective, from your experience, James, what is the most romantic gesture that you have made? You can give me again the Cliff Notes version, because it's only a 45-minute conversation. But please go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely, one of the things that was very special was a person who, and I feel weird talking about a past relationship as I'm currently engaged in the current, but just put it in the context. It was one of those is going to raise the bar when she sees this. If you did that for her, make sure you do something extraordinarily more special for me.
Yeah, because I hear Janet Jackson playing in the background. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Go right
It's in your job description. It's not pressure, so
right.
It was the fact that because of work schedules and everything else that we both had that were extremely very demanding time schedule wise, right, is that she thought that she was coming to be able to, for us to be able to spend time together on a special weekend. And we met inside the middle city that we were going to be flying into, like the connecting city. And so we both decided, and I told her that because of the things we're going to do, we both needed to bring carry-on luggage, not to check any luggage, you know what I'm saying, for the flight. So she met me at the connecting flight, and we were on our way. We were just going to be going to Vegas. And instead of going to Vegas and things like that, we ended up going to Tahiti. And
very
so
nice.
It was the change of venue of where we were going to be able to go. Like we had said, we're going to spend a couple of days that here. We're going to be able to spend, and then basically an entire week taking in certain things in Vegas, the Rocky Mountain. But I know that was always on her bucket list of something that she wanted to be able, you know what I'm saying, to do. I know that she was already passport, you know what I'm saying, she had already put in for it before, but she couldn't have made it the last time she wanted it to be able to go. So she had everything passport friendly to be able to go, but had to cancel a previous trip that she wanted to be able to do. And so now I was able to fulfill that trip and being able to make it a very special occasion as a way of celebrating for her birthday. So I'll tell you right now, I got to make a very new special birthday plans for my lady now. Like that, saying you just opened up the bank account in a different way, brother Harold.
Yes, blame me. So, and this is a question for all of you, and I'll start with Mike. And this is probably one of the most important questions for this conversation. But this was something that I remember a colleague asked me a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. when I was about to, get, I just proposed. And she said, how do you know that? How do you know that she was the one? How do you know that you were in love? And the question was specific about in love. So, Mike, for you, when you reached the point of being in love, how did you know? What was going on in your head, heart, stomach, etc.? How did you know?
That is a really good question. It probably is the most important question you're gonna ask on this interview. I think for me, it was when I knew that I could not be without her. When I knew, you know how you date people and you like, it could be, it might be, it might not be, whatever. I just knew that she was so different and special. She made me look at things I had never seen before. She made me feel a way I had never felt before. She made me want to be with her every waking moment. And I've been with my wife again for 36 years, but we've been married for almost 30 years. We'll be 30 years this year, October 6th. And I just remember feeling like I don't want to go anywhere without this woman. I want her in my space. Everything I do, every place I go, I don't mind sharing the innermost parts of myself with her. And I'll tell you something interesting about that, Harold. Again, thank you for asking this question. I knew when I met my wife, I knew she was going to be my wife. In fact, I told her, you're going to be my wife. I don't even know why I felt this way, other than some people don't believe in this, but I do, because I'm also a preacher as well, that the Holy Spirit led me to this woman at 19 years old. Now, I can tell you at 19 years old, I still, wasn't necessarily sold at that moment that I was going to be with her at that moment, but I knew for the rest of my life, she would be the person that I would spend the rest of my life with, no matter what happened. I just knew it was the craziest, weirdest feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. And I don't think I've ever felt like that again, or I've had that type of feeling again. But I just knew I needed to have her in my space. I just needed her. It was something about not wanting to be separated from her. Like the thought of being separated from her was just too much for me. I really wanted her in my space. And from that day, and this is the honest to God truth, from that day to this day, I still feel the same way.
Yeah,
I still feel that way.
And I think that's important, because I think to paraphrase, Steve Harvey, he has always said that men know.
I knew.
You may not always be able to articulate it. You may not always be able to express it to yourself. If somebody asks you to write it down, you may not be able to do that. But which, and to that point, Cootie, what does love feel like to you? What is going on in your head and heart and body? Remember, this is a family show, but when you know that you are in love, how do you know?
I'll say this. I'll speak in a metaphor that I think dudes can understand. It's a quick story. So I remember it was a time where me and my best friend were walking back from a concert, and we had parked sort of far away, and we had to go through this neighborhood kind of sketch, right? And so as we're walking, we came across some cats that were just hanging out, and it was late. And it was one of those things, they just kind of felt confrontational, but you don't want to kind of give up, that you're afraid, you're outnumbered, and you're not sure how it's going to go, but you don't have time to communicate that, right? So as we go through, it's kind of like, it didn't seem like anything at first, but they didn't really see ground, so we had to kind of cut through them, and then all of a sudden, it just set off.
Really?
And me and this cat are back to back, and all I could think about in that moment was, we got to get back to this car, and I'm not going to let anybody in front of me get to my man behind me. I don't know what he's thinking, what he's doing, but that's just what I know. And suffice to say, we survived. We get to the car. We look at each other. We're like, man, that was crazy. Now, I'll remind you, we were outnumbered. It was just two of us. And I was like, what was going through your head when it all set off? He's just like, it just had in my mind, like, yo, nobody's going to get Nobody's going to get to you. It's going to be me. That, even though that's not a romantic situation, that's what love feels like to me. That's what love feels like in expression. Like, I'm not even thinking about me. I got you. And the only reason that and as much as I can be insecure about that, the only thing that doesn't make me feel vulnerable is because you got me.
What does love feel like to you, James?
Wow. Love is about a commitment and relationship connected to a purpose now. All right. It's about the ability to have a level of connection that is about trying to fulfill a greater purpose than each other. Like, I think of love being more like each person has their own separate identity. Like, she might be hydrogen, I might be oxygen. We all have our own separate characteristics, but when we come together, we can create water. And it's about that combining together is not only about the love, but it's about living in divine purpose for what God has for our lives. And that, to me, is what it's becoming. It becomes a greater level of fulfillment and purpose for God, as well as inside the relationship for why we're together.
But what does it feel like to you? That's what I'm asking. And the reason I'm asking that is because that's what a lot of women want to know. And they want to know, what does it feel like?
You talking about like emotionally? Feel?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I guess I'm saying that, like, I guess that love for me is transcended just the emotional feeling, right? That,
and if I may, James, like, a lot of times dudes, we don't trust emotion. You know, we associate emotion with irrationality.
Right.
So a lot of times, and there's nothing wrong with it, but, you know, my dad always says, you know, you got your will, your emotion, your intellect. When you got to make the most important decisions, you need to suppress that emotion, you know, increase your intellect, and then use your will to carry through. So when we talk about these things, that is an interesting ground, because for us, you know, generally speaking, if I may, it's like, you know, you trust you feel like when people get emotional, as soon as you say that, that's already sort of denoting that they're being irrational.
Well, sometimes emotion, lust, different things can end up guiding you in different directions.
James, if you don't stop talking and answer my question and tell me how you feel about love.
I tried, man. I tried.
This is a simple question, James. When you're in love, what does it feel like, brother? That's what I'm asking.
It feels like it feels like being in a state of being that you can't imagine life without the other person, and that a part of it, like, I remember I once wrote something like, from the first moment you skipped your first rope, from the first moment you skipped your first rope, carried your first lunchbox, and wore your first beret, God had already preordained that you would be my wife. It's about feeling that this person and you, they stir something up inside you, all right, that would not exist if it wasn't for them. You just feel like you're so connected that not having them inside your life takes away a part of what your life's purpose is and is for. And that way you feel a level of the void. And so now for me, it becomes about, like, if that is the direction with life is moving you in direction, how do you protect and gird it so that it can grow and be able to build? How do you avoid the other levels of temptations or things that may be around or that try to enter into that sphere, so that what you have, you can allow for it to flourish and to be able to grow? So it becomes more about protecting it so that it can be able to build. Right.
Yeah, I certainly do feel that. And I think that really is, you know, the whole point with, you know, poetic or literary flourish or not. It is an effervescent thing. It is, and I'm sure Mike can appreciate this too, if you're with somebody for a really long time, or even if it's somebody new and you may look at her and she's like, why are you staring at me? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
You know, that's what do you mean? Yes, I stare at you because yes, because of this place in this moment, that there is no other place that you want to be with no other person.
You know how
yeah.
There's a thing I remember, like I was telling this person as a part of something I was writing. I was like, love without you is like a heart without a beat. It's like a sound. It's like a song without sound. It's like breath without life. It has no meaning or value unless you're a part of it. That's how connected that we are. That one without the other has no meaning.
Yeah.
That to me is the emotion of love.
I tell you, I've been wanting to have this conversation for a really long time with some really thoughtful brothers who have something to say, who can, express not only the what is, but also what was, and also what can be. And for those men and women who are listening to this conversation, hopefully we've been able to give them a little something, not just on this Valentine's Day, but just on any day. I've got 1 minute. I'll give you both just a few seconds. Some final thoughts, Cootie, real quick.
The healthiest thing you can do is make sure that you're whole and take care of yourself and do the self-work. Even when you're in the midst of a relationship, do self-work all through it, and then do work collectively. Create moments. I want to leave y'all with that. Create moments constantly, because when the money runs low, even the tolerance runs low, you can always touch back to, I'm still same cat who did that.
Mike, real quick.
Yeah, love like you want to be loved, and then go beyond that.
Okay. James,
love like you want to love and go beyond that.
Recognize that Valentine's Day is not just a day. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a way of life. If you really love someone. And so don't focus just on today, the 14th. Think about how you can reflect that of what you're doing that day and every day to share with that person that you care, that you respect them, you love them, and that you're committed, and that you have a personal connection to them that you want to be able to build and grow.
I like that. Thank you so much. And I always believe, look, the butterflies that you felt with that first love when you were in your teens, it may look like a moth when you're over 50, but it's still a butterfly. It can
Yes,
still
it
happen. Guys, thank you so very, very much. And look, happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. I really appreciate it.
Happy Valentine's Day. Y'all are awesome.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Valentine's to everyone else.
Appreciate y'all, man.
There you go. That is the Daily Drum for this Friday, February 14th. For News Director Renee Nash, I'm Harold.